When President Cyril Ramaphosa succeeded Jacob Zuma as South Africa's president, he promised a new dawn after 9 years of misrule that hobbled the economy. Now, 18 months later, hopes have dissipated that the former labor union leader can orchestrate a turnaround. And the economy shrank the most in a decade. In the first quarter of this year, 38% of the workforce can find jobs or have given up looking, and the massive bailouts for the debt-stricken state power utility are draining the country's coffers, putting South Africa at risk of losing its sole investment-grade credit rating. How bad is the situation? I'm being joined by an economic analyst in South Africa, Trinity Nkube. Hello, Mr. Nkube. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon. It's great to see you again.
Right. Well, President Ramaphosa's political challenges seem to extend beyond the ANC. Labor unions appear intent on derailing efforts to turn around state-owned power utility Eskom. They've rejected cuts to its bloated workforce and plans to break it into 3 operating units. The president has also been locked in legal battles with the nation's anti-graft ombudsman, who accuses him of failing to disclose a campaign donation. Are the walls closing in on Cyril Ramaphosa?
It's incredibly difficult for him to discharge of his duties. This is at a time when you hope that all the focus will be on the economic front of things. Unfortunately, you have the current head of state being dragged in and around the courts, as well as the former head of state, who's also answering charges around corruption. So this is very unsettling for the ordinary South Africans.
Although Moody's Investor Services hasn't said anything, now investors already think that South Africa's credit is junk. Do you see Moody's downgrading South Africa to junk?
I would seem to agree with that notion. Most of my colleagues in the economic and finance professions, they do agree with that, unless something drastic is done in the coming 6 to 8 weeks. I don't see a turnaround, to be quite honest.
Now, is there a possibility South Africa may be looking at IMF bailout?
It's looking very likely, as much as the Reserve Bank governor and some of the finance professionals would not like us to believe that, but it's looking very, very likely that we are going in that direction.
Recently, price of petrol was increased. Is there any other thing you think Ramaphosa should do he hasn't done?
Absolutely. Reforms. The IMF came this side. A lot of the credit rating agencies have been spelling out the same thing, that we need reforms as of yesterday. Unfortunately, there hasn't been that movement across that spectrum. We're also looking at just a seriousness in policy consistency. It's been mainly cosmetic, policy measures. Something to just do some sort of mastering, saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. We haven't seen anything radical. I think he could have done better.
So what is your short to medium-term outlook for South African economy?
In the interim, we are drowning and we're bleeding. We need to do something very urgently. In the medium term, if we don't do anything, we might be plunging into a recession, and also the junk status that we were discussing.
All right, thank you for talking to us, Trinity Nkube. Let's just hope something positive turns out.
I hope so. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, for update from the Nigerian stock market, here is Eddie Ewan sitting right on the trading floor. Hello, Eddie. Good afternoon. Well, it was a long holiday for the market. How much enthusiasm did investors return with to the market?
Hello, Chimeze. Good afternoon. Well, I must say the bears still have a firm grip on the market. We're currently down about 0.5% and getting closer to the 26,000 level. We've seen about 131 million shares worth about 1.6 billion naira traded so far. And there's been a lot of activity in, the banking sector. We've seen big lenders, tier 1 lenders such as Zenith Bank, GT, Access, FBN Holding, most of them, in the red right now. And that has dragged the sector down by about 1%. MTN is also down Red Star Express is also down. Total is also down. So the market is really negative right now. Only the insurance sector and the industrial goods counter are up at this time. Obviously not enough to push the main index up. So we're not likely to see the day end, positively.
All right. Well, it's midweek already. So what does the outlook for the rest of the week look like, even though we're starting perhaps on a negative note today?
Well, you see, right now, Chimeze, there's no major catalyst in the market. So where, if we look back in history, for the past 6 years, we see that around July, August, the market, there's really, slow market activity at this time, unless there is any trigger, any major trigger from the political scene or from companies or specific sectors, which we haven't seen any at this time. So we're not likely to see any major changes. Hopefully, investors are still waiting for the ministers to be sworn in and to start to work. So by that time, maybe that will be a trigger, to push some positive sentiments into the market. But with the way things are right now, we're not likely to see any major changes in the market, Chimizie.
Well, we'll continue to keep the hopes high. Thank you for the update, Eddie. And finally, scandal hits Tenov has refinanced some 9 billion euros of debt in its overseas operations, which include brands such as Poundland in Britain and France's Confarama, after pushing the deadline date back repeatedly. The group chief executive, Louis Dupreez, says the implementation of the restructuring is a major milestone on their recovery journey, bringing with it the stability that will allow them to turn the page and concentrate fully on maximizing value from its operating companies. Shares in Stenov jumped 4.84% to 1.30 rand in early trading. Established more than 50 years ago, the firm expanded from a small South African outfit to a furniture and household goods retailer, straddling 4 continents before it shocked investors by flagging holes in its accounts in December 2017. The company is now up to date with its financial reporting and expects to publish an unaudited quarterly update for the 3 months ended June 30, 2019 on August 29. And that's a wrap on the program. Thank you for watching. I'm Chimizie Obi Iwago.